This is like the 10th time I've tried to get this to work. We'll see if it functions this time. So the topic of my presentation is careers in English/business, which are the two concentrations I selected for my degree. I've been told by several people that these seem to be very distinctive areas. I suppose they are, but I see many ways in which they intersect and can apply to one another. So I'm going to be talking about 5 different professions. Each one is a specialization of something I am already doing on the professional level right now, either in my office job or in my personal projects. So my English concentration, the classes I've picked, has centered on writing. So everything I talk about as far as English is going to be writing. Writers are needed now more than ever. Communication is still very much important in the digital age. Most people, unfortunately, are very bad writers. And business pairs with literally anything. There's nothing that does not involve business, no field that does not involve business on some level. All professionals can utilize business knowledge, lawyers, doctors, physical therapists, restaurateurs. So I'm very comfortable in that particular aspect of my concentration. Copywriting is something I do on my own blog as well as for clients, doing social media, blog posts, also emails that go out to constituents. Copywriting is what is also involved in writing the product descriptions you see on Amazon, any online store. Copywriting is, as the name implies, is much more concerned with the writing aspect of this if you're working for a company, but there is also the option to be self-employed, which requires the business skills. So, kind of under the umbrella of copywriting, but kind of not, is SEO writing, which is search engine optimization. So you're still writing copy, you're still writing content that goes on websites, but your specialty is making the website appear high in search results, so that the little web crawlers of Google or Bing or Safari, when someone types in a search term, that it will hopefully pull up your client or your website first in the search results because you had all those keywords that the potential customer was looking for. This involves English in the sense that you have to fit the keywords without being awkward. You have to fit them in the right order. You have to make sure that the sentence makes sense, that it's still appealing visually to the customer if they do click on your website. It does involve the most analytics of any of these 5 professions I'm going to be talking about, so the business knowledge is definitely applicable here. Another option is fundraising for nonprofits. Nonprofits are still businesses. They function as businesses. Fundraising combines finance as well as writing in many senses. You have to write donation letters. You have to understand calls to action, emotional appeals. Emotional appeals are a huge part in getting people to understand why what you're doing or what your client is doing is so important. This is what I do when I help politicians with their campaign fundraisers. You have to get people to understand why what you're doing is important, why they should believe in you. So this involves that aspect, the soft aspect, but it also involves the hard aspect, which is more of the business side, which is goals, quotas. We have to make this deadline or it's not happening. It's like we can't build this animal shelter or you can't run for office. So it does, again, provide a very neat intersection of those two things. This 4th one here involves the most business out of any of these careers except the last one, and arguably marketing does incorporate and is incorporated in the previous 4 things I talked about, but each of these is a slight specialty. Marketing requires knowledge of how to write content. You're writing social media posts, you're writing ads, you're writing flyers, you're writing emails, you are writing all of these things, but there's more to it than that as well. You have to understand customer needs. You have to often have an involvement in product development, which involves sourcing, which involves R&D. So there's definitely more of that business side, which I say I'm involved in all of these. Marketing is I'm involved in the sense that I'm involved in all the others. Marketing is creating value for customers to create long-lasting relationships, which is a little more general than any of the other things, but still incorporates both writing and business. So this last one incorporates the most business out of any of the previous 4 professions, and is what I want to eventually do full-time, is start my own publishing company. So the publishing world itself is very much changing because of e-readers and print on demand. You no longer have to store inventory, and there's also been the shift towards online. So Amazon, the online retailer Amazon, is the powerhouse behind 65% of all new book sales. Online as in digital content, ebooks, or print books. This has been a massive equalizer among publishers. So the small indie press is reaching the same audience as the big 6 publisher, like Macmillan or Harcourt, which the big publishers are not happy about. The little publishers are thrilled, which the big 6 suck, so who cares? The other publication under the umbrella of publication is online publications, which are also in upheaval because their old models of ad revenue are going out the window, so they're having to resort to other things such as subscriptions, people pay for their content, or selling products. In both of these industries that are under the title of publisher, they both involve writing, understanding of the English language, and they also involve a good deal of business because you do run and own a business. Because of this upheaval, there is a great amount of opportunity for those entrepreneurial individuals who are willing to incur the risk, which I find very exciting. However, there is that degree of risk. So, give and take. In conclusion, both English and business are flexible degrees. I see that there are many other possible applications and options for these 2 degrees. Law school, going onward to grad school, going deeper into English or business. But in the end, if I decide to, as far as jobs, if I decide to work for someone else the rest of my life, I was told by one of the partners at a company I interned with over the summer, something I thought was very relevant, and I wanted to share with the rest of the class, which was employers don't care if you're qualified, they care if you'll work hard, because you're coming out with a liberal arts degree, and unless it's something like computer science or nursing, employers don't look at whether or not you're qualified, because you aren't. They're going to have to train you anyway. So they want to know if you'll be willing to work, if you'll be willing to learn, and I am, and I'm sure the other people in this class are as well. So I think we will all land that job that exceeds our wildest expectations. We just have to work for it, which I'm sure we all will, and the world is our oyster. So that is in conclusion, many options, future is bright,